Every single one of us as traders have all been there. We've all been into a trade or a series of trades that we could use some help to get out of. Well, Nick is no exception, and I love being able to help traders. So Nick, a trader in our group, got himself into a little bit of a bind, and we're gonna jump in and see what we can do to help fix his trades. Not only fix them for today, but hopefully give him a little bit of a skill set that he could take into his future tradings. So come on board, let's check this out and let's see how we do. Please also like, subscribe, and be a part of our journey. So thank you guys. And again, we'll see you in the trade rooms. Nick, I'm just going to confirm what I'm looking at. So your reds are your take profits or your orders on that?
The greens are the orders.
Well, the greens are the orders, the reds are your take profit. Okay. Yeah. So it might be a little too late, but I would have probably moved those take profits up to here, those ones, because you could have used that little bit more take profit to start peeling off those guys up there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so sometimes I'll use where, if you feel like, do I have annotations here? Sweet. So this is what, so just kind of going back, and it's a hindsight call now, but if I have take profits here or right here, but do you feel like the market is going to test here? I would have just moved your take profits there, and I probably would have pulled these guys down to here. So to move these guys up to there, move those guys down to there, just to kind of, and then that would have you still would have made money, but you would have also lightened your position size just in case this is the point where it decides to turn. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does.
And if it does decide to turn, then you probably want to get out of everything, but you've maximized at least this layer's profit to help basically break even on these guys, and then reduce your loss limit here. And so that's just a quick technique of fixing trades. Is now you got to look for a profit layer. Like, you do not have any profit on them in the books right now, right? Everything you have is a loss. And so, and I'm not saying that to state the obvious. I'm saying because in your mind right this second, you should be looking for a high probability trade setup to get in, to get some profit in, right? And I'm just talking about this market. Now, there's a lot of things that you could do to do that. And one of the things that Sean does, and it just depends on you, how you view the market, how you like to trade. So what Sean does, and what looks like you're doing, is what's your take profit set at?
3 pips.
Okay. So if you find an area of 3 pips, that's a high probability trade target. Like, I'm going to have to pull my line up to measure. So if it pulls back, like right now, you could probably build into a small position here, right? And if it pulls back even more, where I'd be nervous is if it crosses this. But it has to cross this. It's proven that we're kind of in a little bit of a channel, so it's coming down, testing this. So it's a good probability to have some trades on. Now, you could do the same thing. It's up to you, right? Whether or not you want to take the profit here, or again, move it up to there, which I probably would. And I would take that. So this gives you the option to do either or right now. So either or, right? So moving those take profits up to there gives you the option that if it does in fact come up to here and stall, you could take those out manually, and then recycle and put those on again. But if it comes up to here and shoots past it, then you got your answer. But if you had take profits here, you wouldn't have had the opportunity for it to shoot past it. You're telling the market that that's the only outcome that I'll accept. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you're giving yourself an either or by moving those up a little bit. And I like to have choices, but at the same token, sometimes it's hard to do that if you're not if you're not quick, pushing, you know what I mean? So sometimes you gotta be really quick, where what you don't want is, you know what? It came up, touched that. I should have got out, but I didn't. And then it came back and went the other way. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm saying I'm leaving it all up to you. The way I would do it is giving myself a choice of whether I choose if I'm going to take it or if it's going to break. And again, all of that does for me depends on what the market is doing, how slowly it's going, how fast it's moving. If we got a lot of this action or if it's a lot of this action. And so if the market is moving rapidly up and down, like yesterday, a candle was 5 pips. I was putting 3 pips to take profit because I was getting inside of one candle. It was hitting it, coming back, putting it back on, hitting it again, coming back, putting it back on, or the other direction. And I was hitting those 3 pips to take profit like crazy. And to me, so it's like different market has different techniques that you can utilize. But if you're not comfortable, the first thing that I would tell everybody is just the reason why I love scalping, the reason why I love wobbling is it teaches you really quickly, because you're going to see opportunities a lot faster than if you were just holding on to trades for an hour or so. Do you know what I mean? Personally, I love it when I'm in markets where I'm constantly just click, right? Taking profit, getting out of trades. We're not in one of those.
All right, Dave, you said I should go to settings, and what should I do there?
What? Sorry, what?
You said I should go to settings in Zoom, and what should I do there?
So look for your meetings tab, your meetings settings.
Yeah, I go to the settings.
And then go down, it's like basic, something like that, where it says basic meetings, meeting settings, and then look for something that says annotations, and you have it clicked off.
Post everyone. Only user in your account can chat.
All right, so now here's the decision. They're coming up against a major action point, right? So now we have to sit if it's going to stall or if it's going to go past it. Okay.
What are you looking for in the stall?
So there's 2 things I'm looking for in the stall. One is how early you are in the candle. So you got you're still 30 seconds in this candle still. And it looks like it's on top. So it's not stalling. So I'd hold on to this candle right here. And I'd hold on. If it fails to come back, if it fails to break below or come back into there, then that's a good sign for these trades, right?
Okay.
However, can you minimize this guy right here? Because I want to see where your next action point is. However, now your take profits are in a losing situation. So I would probably move your take profits up to this guy right here. And then let's look for opportunity.
Okay.
I don't know if at MT5 you can have a quick take profit. Is there a setting?
I don't have one. I've just been dragging them.
You got to manually move them up. All right. Makes it a little bit hard. Makes it a little tougher for sure. So again, it doesn't take away your decision, but what it does do is gives you the decision, right? Now you have the decision. What are you going to do? Now it's coming back down here. If it crosses this, you could look to lighten. Well, if it crosses this, what we don't want to do is get into another marching market where it decides, okay, this is where I'm going. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go back down. So just kind of be cognizant of that, because you're setting your trades up for it to continue this run. Now, I always get nervous. I shouldn't say nervous isn't the right answer. You just don't know where this turn is going to happen, right? You think maybe it's going to happen here. Maybe it's going to happen if it continues to go up, right? And you don't know where this is going to be, but you do know it's coming. right?
Mm-hmm.
The more that it goes this way, the more likelihood that we're going to get that turn, or you're going to get it to come down, right? And we don't want. So, in my opinion, these trades right here, because it has crossed this, it in my opinion, it puts. That's why I moved the take profits up, because the chances of being profitable has now increased. However, if it comes down and crosses this might be where you just need to close out of everything. So if we got to do that, then we need to look for profit layers, because let's assume that it does happen and we have to X out. We need to look for profit opportunities here, because we're going to close out of, we're going to need to take a loss on these trades. Makes sense?
Where did you say we need to look for profit layers at? Like right where we're at right now?
Yeah. So we're hunting for profit opportunities right now.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I would think that if it does close here, which is, fortunately it's like 7 to 8 pips away, then it could start getting your lower lows and doing that. Right. So this is kind of in my mind, this is my get out of trades of my buys. However, for me, this is just for me, is that I would have been in a ride the wave situation right here, and I would have held on to those buys instead of taking profit here to see if it would have crossed this and keep coming up, because this would have been my protection layer against if I have to close out of everything, I'm now in profit on these or break even. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's the only way I would have done it differently, because there's not a lot of volatility in this market right now, and it just wants to continue to climb. So I'd be like, okay, I'll let it climb. But if there was volatility in the market, the way you played that would have been perfect. But the only thing I'm saying is because there's no volatility in the market, that's why I would have held on to them.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
So this is more along the lines of trading the market that you have, instead of trading like a wobble technique where this is an action point and on the stall I would get out, right? So this is normally on a stall, you get out or you put your profits right here, and that's the normal way to do it. So I'm just having a hard time, because I'm trying not to speak out both sides of my mouth, right?
Yeah.
And really it comes down to identifying what type of market you're in and what's the best way to approach this market.
Yes.
And if you're a new trader, which I don't think you are, but if you're a new trader, focus on the rules. And so I'm telling you right now when you should break those rules. And so if you're a brand new trader, don't listen to what I'm saying. Because there's always an exception to every rule. And so that's why I'm kind of struggling with what I'm trying to say, because it's very counter to what I often say. Like, you traded that perfect, but for me, I would have just held on and see where it's going. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I think there's a lot of psychology potholes for me in this situation. Just because it ran down so much. Then when it finally started coming back up, there's a lot of fear that it's just going to turn around at any given moment. And so it's great for you to hop on and start talking like I just started the session, basically. Like, you should be putting trades on here. You should be,
right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is such a great comment to have right now. Over here on your 5-minute, you still got to see if it's going to cross this, right?
Yeah.
Because you still could get that turn. So the question is when I was trading and writing this up, did you get any of that, or did you play the question in my mind, because of psychology, were you nervous and you stopped trading right here and you were just waiting for it to come back and fix your trades?
Both. I did place buys coming down, because could see, it was trying to come up. And so I was layering in, but I actually ran out of free margin. So I basically ran out of bullets before I got to the bottom, and I wasted basically like the bottom 20 pip run up.
Okay.
I didn't have any profitable trades and before it got to the bottom of my buys. And then I had some on there that were just hitting as I hopped on with you. But I mean, besides this little bitty rundown, I placed a couple buys to wobble this little zone.
Sure.
But yeah, that's basically it.
So if you run out of bullets, then that's a different story. But if you're sitting on your hands because you're in fear, I was going to say, that's not what we should do. Right. So the moment that it crossed over here, like we talked about on the one, this is when if you had bullets, you should have bought and rode the wave up. Right.
I see. Okay.
Because that would have helped fix these guys. But I think as traders, I'm not saying you did this, but as traders, we get paralyzed because of fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so we're like, I don't want to make my situation worse, when in reality, you're making your situation better by placing trades in a high probability setup. Now, because that just did this and ran down, we still are playing this channel, and we'll see. Right. However, this is a pretty strong rundown, and we haven't seen anything like that previous. Right. And so because we haven't seen anything like this previous, it turns into a Friday call for me. Like, this is hard to read right now because you haven't seen anything like this previous. We don't really know what it's going to do. Is this an attempt to go lower, and is it going to break this channel and continue to go lower, or is it going to bounce right here? And I don't know, because it's an abnormal move to what the market has done, and it's also a Friday, so we don't know. But we also don't want to be stuck in these trades any longer, right? So getting a reset to zero is your call, and it could take the power back from the market for you by saying, you know what, I'd rather take the loss here or I'd rather take the loss here than taking the loss down here, and I recovered on a bunch of my trades already, right? But that's your call. I would make that call, particularly if this candle doesn't give me confirmation that we're going to come back up and touch the top. So if it fails to cross here, or if it fails to give you a reversal signal, like it comes up and fails, this, I'm not saying within this candle. I'm just saying that if it crosses this before it crosses this, then that's a continuation of the downtrend, and if it crosses this is confirmation it's going up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So the best case for this trade right now is in the next 3 seconds, it holds above that, because that means that it could test. I'm going to reduce my
the thickness.
The thickness, so you can actually see.
Would you have been buying at this bottom?
No, only because the information here, because of this big move, I would have been nervous that it would have broke this and continued that way.
Yes. Okay.
Right. I could have, if I didn't have any trades on and I wanted to get into early. Right. But in your situation, when I would only put trades on when I get a high probability setup. That makes sense?
Yeah. You would wait until it's like not the early situation.
Right. And so if I'm nursing or I'm fixing trades, I'm only looking for things that I feel confident in. And this move I didn't really feel confident in, because it came down really quick instead of just marched down, right?
Yeah.
But also, if the move comes down quick, sometimes you get a move back up just as quick. Now, Pete also pointed out, which was a great thing. So again, great question from Pete. Was
50,000 points.
and did you win Jeopardy? You're just having
and a lollipop.
You're just having a great day today. He asked if you would fib that. Normally, yes. On Fridays, no. There's not enough. I just don't trust this market to have any semblance of a price action structure, because we are just in one marching market after another. That's the only thing that I trust right now is a marching market. And so a marching market ignores any price behavior, price structure, fib levels, any of that stuff. Right. And so I don't trust it enough to do it. But yes, normally I would fib the 5 minute. So it's just a difficult time to trade on a Friday. And the last couple Fridays, excluding even non-farm, it's tend to just go in one direction for a while and then like just run. Like we've had 100 to 200 that one Friday. I think we had like a 400 pip run, and I was trading that and I didn't do so good. So I'm like, this is the reason why I remember now why I don't trade Fridays. So you're doing the 5%ers, I think.
Yeah.
Hobble Wobble, you did the 5%ers as well too, right? How long have you been doing 5%ers for?
I think I got this account maybe like a month ago.
Okay. And so what is their rule structure? Like,
so
you're
this
trying
one,
to, you're trying to do what? What's the challenge here?
Yeah, this particular account is the instant funding account. And so you buy in, there's like 3 tiers, I think, or maybe 4, and you buy in at a different like starting account size. And so I picked the middle one, and I think it's actually like you're buying it at a $40,000 account. But for stage 1, they reduced that by 4. And so I'm in a $10,000 account right now, but and so the stage one, I think, has slightly different rules than the other stages. But for stage 1, I'm in a $10,000 account and I need to make 6%. So $600.
And do you have a certain time frame that you have to make that in?
180 days.
So 180 days to make 6%.
So I think like around 6 months.
Right.
My drawdown is also, my max drawdown for when they close the account is also 6%. So I need to not lose $600.
Again, the question is, in this account, is it 6% of 10,000 or is it 6% of 10,100? And
yeah,
right?
I think with this particular account, it's an absolute drawdown. So it's always going to be like, if I go down to 900 and whatever, they'll close it. But if I'm in profit, it's just buffer for me. So if I work my way up.
So if you get to $590 and you draw it down 6%, which would put you back, back down to 10,000 or just slightly below it, you're okay.
Yeah. I should be okay. Yeah. That should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and take these off.
Okay. So the question now that I have for you is, just because of this move just happened right there, are you profitable on the day or are you still down? Like what's your...
Yeah. I'm profitable on the day, 48.62. So the way that I've done this account, like I started off pretty aggressive, but in Alveo, if I lose, I can hit the daily loss limit of 5% pretty easily. That's like almost all of the max drawdown for this challenge account. So if I do that, 2 days or 3 days in a row, I lose this account. And so instead, I've taken that $600 to be kind of like the whole account. And so I really try to target like $6, $12, or $20 total per day. Like you can see I'm trading like a 0.02 on a $10,000 account. And that's because I want to keep my drawdown low, because
right. And you're trading with good risk parameters on $10,000 trading. You're trading 0.02, but you're also, obviously you're stacking a ton of trades on.
Yeah. So I got wild for sure. Yeah. That was way...
Is that not okay? So that's not typical. So do you wobble in this?
Yeah, I do wobble.
So how many layers of 0.0 or how many trades per layer do you do? I
generally do 2. one or two per layer. And then as I get down to my third or fourth layer, I'll start going like 4. I had Khalid made me a break even line. And so today, especially, I started playing the break even line instead of drawdown. And so
dude, that's awesome.
Basically, like whenever it got below like a certain spot, price action wise, I would say, oh, I really would like my break even to be below that. And I would just click until the break even line was below that without really much regard for how many trades I put on. And I think that's kind of why I got in way too heavy. But starting off, I usually do like 2. If I'm really unsure, 2. And then as it comes down to more and it, the break even's right in the middle, then like 3 or 4, which puts it like, and then I get into trouble if it keeps going after that. So,
just curious, is this a good day at 0.02 is making, $50
for me? Yeah.
Well, cause at 0.02 to make $50, that's some good trading, honestly, at 0.02, right?
Yeah.